Hey, what is going on, everybody? Obesity Prime here. Today I want to take things a little slow. It's going to be a talking head kind of video because I just want to talk about some of the things that I've been thinking about, especially with the upcoming nerf to Jungle Shaco. It's gonna hurt him pretty bad because I don't know at this point what they're gonna nerf. That hasn't come out yet, but they are going to nerf that role because he does have a high win rate there, on top of Hella Blades getting nerfed as well. So specifically, I just want to talk about Shaco's skills, how I think Riot can make them synergize much better, how these skills themselves can be improved to be more of an assassin. Compared to other assassins, I find he is below average compared to them in terms of assassinating people such as like Zed and Kiana and Talon and all these other, assassins. His are pretty weak. I mean, he could get the job done, but in terms of that 1v1 kind of like burst on certain champions, it's a little bit harder to kind of deal with. I just want to talk about my thoughts on how Riot can improve his abilities to make them synergize better with the type of playstyle. This is going to be particularly aimed towards AP Shaco. So yeah, let's hop into this and go over my thoughts.
For my next trick, I'll make you disappear. Now you see me, now you don't.
Alright, welcome back. So let's go ahead and hop into this. I don't want to waste too much time on it. It's just going to be a chillax kind of video. So we all know what his abilities are and stuff like that. So we have Backstab, Deceive, Jack in the Box, 2 Shift Poison, and of course Hallucinate. So let's switch on over here, and I'm just going to run through these, what I think could be added, changed, and whatnot like that. So we're going to start with the passive, Backstab. Basically, he does more damage when he autos or uses Deceive into Shift Poison from behind. I think that's fine. I think that should all stay pretty much the same. I'm just going to add to it, and I'm just going to put this out here for right now. I'll talk about it more when it comes to the other skills, but there will be an addition to it to where enemies become marked, and the damage and duration of my changes can all be, tweaked and subjected to changes later on. So I'm usually going to give a range, and then, testing and stuff like that can dictate where it should be placed. So it'll add a mark to said champion if autoed from behind, or to Shiv and Deceive land from behind. Alright, so Backstab's damage needs to be activated, attacking or using his skill from behind to mark the champion for 1.5 to 3 seconds, somewhere in that time range. Okay, that'll make more sense once I go through some of the other skills later on. Particularly this pertains to the W hitboxes. Okay, moving on to the Q, Deceive. I actually think this is the only skill that should be left alone. I think it's fine where it is. I think I'm not trying to make him super overpowered to where he's fucking banned all the time. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make him balanced, make him fair, but make his skills and work together with each other. And I think this is fine where it is. The cooldown is pretty fair, level 1, and by the time you get it to max level, it's usually about somewhere between 6 to 8 seconds depending on your CDR. I think that's fair. I think the time is fair. I do like that they added an extra second at the beginning, and before I think it was like 4.5. It was either 4.5 or 4 seconds. Either way, I still think the duration is still pretty fair for what it is in comparison to some of the other champions that have stealth, but I digress on that. I do like that it's mainly for AD, so it does have the AD scaling here. I think that's fine as well, because he is hybrid. You can go AD, you can go AP. So for this to be specifically specifically AD is fine. I mean, if they wanted to add a AP ratio on there, I wouldn't hate it. Maybe like plus 10-50% AP or something like that. Whatever, it's fine. But either way, I think this is fine the way it is. I wouldn't really touch this one. However, moving on to the next one, this is the big one. This is where all the changes come, because when I think about Shaco, I think about his Jack in the Box and his clone as being his iconic. This is what Shaco's all about. Putting boxes down, making people, fly into them, flash into them, and just outplaying them with the fear and your clone and all that. So the Deceive is really part of what makes Shaco'S Shaco, the deception and trickery. So these are the changes that I would make. Number 1, I would get rid of this right here. this scaling in time based off AP, because if you're going 80, this means nothing to you. It's pretty much always going to be 40 seconds throughout the entire game. If you're AP, you can get this up to like 60 seconds, 65 seconds, depending how much AP you have. I would get rid of that scaling and just make it flat 50 seconds all the way around. Just 50 seconds, boom. Now, the next part I'm going to talk about only deals with his arming. Not while the box is active and shooting at people. While it's being armed, it needs to have a change there. Either the arming duration needs to go down to 1.5 seconds, or it needs to be a flat, it needs to be hit 2 times from an auto attack. Not getting one shot by an ADC level 9, and then I had to sit here and wait fucking, what is it, like 15 seconds for this shit to come back up. 16 seconds flat, unless I have CDR. So I put the box down, ADC walks up, shoots it, it's gone. I have to wait 16 seconds. That's fucking bullshit. It needs to have some type of fix to it. So they need to auto it once. No abilities can fucking kill it. Smite would be the only thing that I would say should kill it while it's arming, while it's being put down. Once it comes up, anyone can one-shot it. That's fine. The fear will go off. The damage may go off. That's fine. I'm talking about while it's being put down. It needs to be changed to where it needs to be 2 actual auto attacks. If Renekton autos it with his W, that's fine too. Yes, uses it's 3 hits in 1. Lucian can shoot it twice. That's fine. I don't care. But getting just 1 auto off is bullshit, and that needs to change somehow within this, or lower the arming time to 1 second, 2 seconds. Because when we look at other champions such as Nidalee and Jhin, they have traps. They go down. They don't fucking get 1 shot when they go down. They arm and do their shit. Teemo's, I'm pretty sure you could, but Teemo has 3 shrooms, so he can throw 3 out, and they could auto all 3, but that'd be kind of dumb to throw all 3 out in front of an ADC who can one-shot them. Obviously, you would probably want to spread them out, and the same thing can be said for your boxes, but sometimes you need to put a box down to provide peel, to possibly fear in a team fight, and if it gets 1 shot, it's such bullshit. Okay, you probably know what I'm talking about if you played Shaco before. And then the passive that I want to talk about comes back to that mark. Remember how you auto someone or you hit them with an E in the back? The box should be able to target that champion and apply the single target damage. So this is what I'm thinking. So say I play Shaco'S support, so I play him in the bot. If I Q in and place a box down, this is what happens. It'll fear everything around and it'll do this weak ass AoE damage. Okay, fine. However, if I were to go in with the changes that I'm proposing and I backstab a champion, the box will fear everyone around him, but will single target that champion and do damage specifically to that champion with the mark. I feel like that is a good compromise, and the mark will also boost the single target damage up to 10%, 2% per little laser that it shoots out, up to 10% damage. Now, the way that this can differ from normal solo damage is, say I put 2 traps in the jungle, no monsters around, no one else is around, and the enemy champion walks into it. He'll take the solo damage, but he won't get the boosted 10% unless I Q in and backstab him or E him in the back. Then the mark is applied, the enhanced 10% damage is then applied, and all that good stuff happens. But I'm talking about specifically in like team fights or in lane. When you go in, and if I, put my life on the line out there, essentially, I should be able to do more damage than this AoE bullshit. You feel what I'm saying there? I probably didn't say it as well as I could have, but basically, the mark allows the box to target whoever you marked with. Because if you look at Heimerdinger's and Zyra's plants, right? If you just cast them or leave them alone, they'll shoot the minions. However, if you walk up and you start fighting an enemy champion, they target the enemy champion. That's the same thing I want applied to the box. It's if I go in and I backstab someone, the box should target that person and do that actual solo damage to them. On top of 10% increase, because we're trying to assassinate over here. Alright, so those are the changes I would make to the box. Stacking boxes would be cool, but it's not like a deal breaker for me or anything. I mean, we can get them pretty close together, but it would always be nice to stack boxes. But those are the changes I'd make to the box. Moving on to Two-Ship Poison. I like everything here. I would just change a couple things. The active slow right here, when you auto passives, I would remove that and put more of a damage thing on there. So I would leave the active slow here. Let's say 25% flat. Just if you throw your dagger and hit someone, they're slow for 25% for 3 seconds. That's fine. But I would change this to something that provides more damage with all the mobility, with all the items that provide mobility, with the stupid movements. What is it called? I can't think of its name. The one that makes you run fast. You guys don't want to talk about. I can't think of its name right now. I'm blanking. That breaks through slows. So does this even have any effect? If it can break through the slow, they get 3 autos on you and you're slowed. They just run right through it, or they like flash away, or they flash E if you're Ezra, or you flash E if you're Lucian, or whatever. You know, there's so much mobility bullshit that does this slow really even matter? Are you gonna auto someone and then chase them down, being Shaco? Usually you're more of like glass cannon kind of build most of the time if you're trying to assassinate. Yeah, fuck this. What I would say is we would put in something. I don't know if I want it to be auto attack based or just put it on the active as well, and that would be if the champion is above 80 to 85%, somewhere in there, max health, of their health, that you'll do a 3-second dot for somewhere between 1.5 to 3.5% of their max health. So that way you get more value out of throwing this. Because if you've ever thrown your E at a, let's say, mid-game Scion, mid-game Ornn, Volibear, how much damage does your E actually do, aside from being super fed? 100 damage? Even worse if you're AD. It's like non-existent. So if you were to put in here 3-second max HP dot to it, it's going to do some damage, right? And that's the whole point. You know, not trying to get overpowered here. It's a good kind of way to weaken tanks in a sense and provide more damage via poke, right? Because this shit costs a lot of mana. Where's the mana? 65 mana. From levels 1 through 5, your mana pool is like 300, 350, something less than that starting off. It's less than 400, we'll say that. So that means you could get 2 E, well, if you were only going to spam E, that would be, what, 4 or 5 E's, and then you're out of mana. If you combined it with any of your other skills, which is 60 mana, what is this one? 50 up to 70. You know, you Q in, you throw an E, you place a box. You're pretty much down to 30% of your mana. Pretty much 30-45%. So to put that dot damage on here, you get more value out of this in the early game poking someone. Now, like I said, the numbers are subjected to change. Maybe 1.5, I don't know, 2. You know, this would all have to be tested through Riot and other people in the PvE and stuff like that. But that's what I would change. Get rid of this fucking auto attack slow. If you know, there's other items that can help you with this if you want them. And like I'm saying, this is basically for AP. So you're not going to be chasing someone down with auto. I mean you will, but that's not what you're trying to do necessarily for this. You want to assassinate them. You could throw this to slow them, and if you're going AP, you can throw, what's it called, Glacial Augment on here. Boom, you don't need this anymore. Glacial Augment makes this irrelevant. It's a better slow. So that would be my change for E. Now the clone, first of all, we have to address the bug that pisses me off. It's some type of thing going on to where I'll send my clone out and he will fight me to go there. He'll take 2 steps, he'll walk right back to me. I go, no, go back out there, and I'm constantly clicking both the R and the Alt right click, go out into the river, go out over here, run this way, and he'll just keep running back to me. I have to let him come back to me, wait a second, and then send him back out. That is inconvenient. It fucks up my plays and stuff like that. It's just not, it needs to be fixed, straightforward. So Riot needs to fix that shit regardless if they make any of these changes. That shit needs to be fixed. It needs to activate and work just like Tibbers and shit. So according to all this, I'd keep it exactly the same. I would just add things to this, and there's 1 of 3 things. One is to be The first one is a quality life that I think should be applied no matter what, and the other two are more based on, one's based on damage and the other one's based on trickery. So the thing that I should be applied all across the board on top of the fix is, if you die and your clone is still alive, you should be able to control your clone. There's nothing more aggravating than ulting, you get killed, and then your clone is standing 3 feet from a fight that's going on, and it's standing there for 15 seconds, not doing anything. It would be nice, Riot, if I could control that stupid son of a bitch and make him run into the fight and at least die in the fight. We're not trying to use any abilities, we're just movement and auto attacks, that's it. I mean, we have the same thing with let's see who else does it. Tryndamere can't be killed 5 seconds running around critting people for 400, 500 damage. You let that shit go by. Sion, when he dies, he can control himself. He runs around and shit like that. What about Karthus? Yeah, it's all tied to one champion, but this is still my ult. It's still my champion. I should still be able to control him. Tibbers targets whoever killed Annie. My fucking clone don't do that. He doesn't target anyone. He'll just stand around. I mean, sometimes he will if I have him attacking someone when I die. But if I die automatically and he, for some reason, doesn't want to target anyone, I should be able to control him to make him useful. Now, moving on to the other two. The trickery one is just like Zed and LeBlanc. And this would require some changes with the way that you control the clone. So you can control the clone through R clicking, and then like Alt R or R clicking. I forget which one it is, but you can use Alt or the actual R button to control them. So if this change were to go through, you would have to change it to only one way of control them. So let's say Alt right click would control your clone, and R would allow you to swap places with your clone up to a certain range, just like with Zed and stuff like that. I think it would add a lot to the trickery. That all it does is swap places, so you can run one way, kind of like Nico, and send the clone the other way. And if they are attacking you, they know it's you. You can swap places with the clone, and that's it. That's it. Nothing crazy there. Only once while the clone's alive. So now you can keep swapping back and forth. That'd be super overpowered. Just once while the clone's alive, and up to a certain distance, maybe like 700 range or something like that. We don't want, I think it would be a little overpowered to be at the max range that the clone and you can be. I think that would be a little too much. Maybe like 700 meters. That way there's a slight chance that the champions on the enemy team can catch you and possibly kill you. And then lastly would be the damage route, which would be the clone would be able to throw your E out as well. But for that to happen, you and the clone need to be within range of a champion. So you would Q onto someone, and then right there, since you're within range of your E and the clone's within range of the E and the clone's within range of you, you both can throw an E out, right? So I don't want you sitting under tower and then you send your clone into the mid lane to throw an E. Nah, I don't think that's right. I think if you're within range of each other and the champion to throw an E, you'll both throw an E and do maybe 50% of that damage. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much what I think Riot needs to do to fix his abilities and to improve his abilities, to make him a more cohesive champion, to synergize much better with his abilities, and just overall improve gameplay, raise that ceiling, because people do love watching champions with high ceilings. I think making those changes would really improve the champion overall. Not to an overpowered state. Obviously, like I said, they would need to tweak and adjust those ratios and stuff like that, but the concept of the changes themselves, I think it would be very beneficial to Shaco. Alright guys, that'll be it for this video. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.
For my next trick, I'll make you